Welcome to Trinity Lutheran Church in New York Mills, Minnesota. If you haven't guessed by now, we're in my office again. The congregation has just absolutely done some gorgeous work in here. As you've seen in some of the other videos, they put a new back wall in here and new cabinets and so forth. And so a while back, one of my parents sent to me some of the old drawings and sketches of my hometown of Elkhart, Indiana. There's a lot, the town's old and it's got a lot of history in it and stuff. So it was kind of nice to have this aspect of home, you might say. That's exactly what the children of Israel were looking for, a home. And as they came through the Red Sea and into the wilderness, they were 100% relying on the provision of God. You know, it fascinates me with the children of Israel as they were coming to and heading to the Promised Land, as they were about to go 40 years in a wilderness area. The logistics in order to carry out what they had to carry. I got some numbers that would maybe give you a little fascination. Many biblical scholars believe there was up to about 3 million people, not including their critters, as they were coming into the wilderness. That means the Red Sea would have had to be a part to get all those people across. God divided it maybe up to 15 miles across in order to get them across at one time as quick as He did. Think about that logistics. How about just feeding the people? I took a statistic out and looked at our largest aircraft carrier in the United States Navy right now today. And in order to feed those 5,000 people on this aircraft carrier, and this is just 5,000, it takes, in 7 days, they go through 1 million pounds of food, and every day 400,000 gallons of water. You imagine? That's just for 5,000. Now multiply that by 3 million people. In our text, we're going to see where God provides everything for the children of Israel, 3 million, out of what they would see absolutely nothing. Now, the one account of the water that was being provided for them comes from Exodus 17, 1 through 7, as we look at a bunch of plumb, parched people. When all the congregation of the sons of Israel journeyed by stages from the wilderness of Sin, according to the command of the Lord, and camped at Rephidim, there was no water for the people to drink. Therefore the people quarreled with Moses and said, "Give us water that we may drink." And Moses said to them, "Why do you quarrel with me? Why do you test the Lord?" The people thirsted there for water, and they grumbled against Moses and said, "Why now have you brought us up from Egypt to kill us and our children and our livestock with thirst?" So Moses cried out to the Lord, saying, "What shall I do to this people? A little more, and they will stone me." Then the Lord said to Moses, "Pass before the people. Take with you some of the elders of Israel, and take in your hand your staff with which you struck the Nile, and go. Behold, I will stand before you there on the rock of Horeb, and you shall strike the rock, and the water will come out of it, that the people may drink." And Moses did so in the sight of the elders of Israel. He named the place Massah and Meribah because of the quarrel of the sons of Israel, and because they tested the Lord, saying, "Is the Lord among us or not?" You imagine that event? Out of nothing, absolutely nothing, God provided enough water for 3 million people and all their livestock out of one rock. You imagine the flow of that pure water in order for them to survive. So often in our day-to-day lives, we get parched, you might say. We get dried out because of the world around us. Our sinful flesh, the world, and Satan is constantly hacking on us and remind us what the sinful person that we are. But God's forgiveness, His trust in His death and resurrection, and the promise of His salvation is abundant and overflowing. Not for 3 million, but many, many millions of Christians who God came into the parchedness of their original sin that they were conceived in and born in, and the sins that made them drier than dry than the bones, as we see in the Old Testament lesson, which is common, and gave them life. That includes you and I. Sometimes we get parched in the world, but we also remind us always of the abundance of God. His abundance is overflowing in a provision that is perfect, that washes us and cleanses us and nourishes us through His Word and makes us perfect in the eyes of the Father. I don't know where your hometown is, where you're listening today. I don't know what's all going on in your life, but I do know the love of God never leaves us forsaken. It always waters us, always feeds us, always strengthens us, and preserves us until the day that we get to be in the presence of Jesus for eternity without sin. Thanks for being with us today. In the midst of Lent, we have this wonderful opportunity to be reminded of Christ's intentionality going to a cross for you and I, so that we would have that relationship that He has poured upon us by grace through faith in Jesus Christ. Lord Jesus be with you and all He brings you to and through.